could share with our brothers and sisters that do not speak Portuguese. And today we're going to be talking about detachment and attachment. So we are going to try to understand a little bit why it's so easy for us to get attached to many things that are not very positive, and why it's so difficult to detach from it. So in order to be able to do this lecture, I decided to tell you many stories. Many different stories of people that already can detach so easily. So we are going to be learning with them. But we also are going to learn with few spirits like us. They are not able to detach from everything. So let's go in this journey together. So the first story I'm going to tell you is of a man that was actually an artist. So we always think that artists are already detached of so many things because they are much more connected with the spiritual realm, receiving beautiful messages. So they see things that we can't yet. But this artist in particular, he was like eccentric. He was like a little bit different. And he was averted from society. So he really enjoyed the nature, but he didn't enjoy people. So he saw people as like problems. He met a lot of people that caused negative feelings in him. So he decided that he did not want to interact with people anymore. He wanted to be alone. And the thing that he enjoyed the most was to be able to be alone, walking at night, and especially when was this beautiful moonlight, the full moon. And this night, this artist is with his beautiful walk when this woman suddenly jumped in front of him. That's how he imagined. And he gets really angry, and he immediately wants to fight with her. And he's like, almost like this, what? Who are you think you are? What are you doing? And she says, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I could not see you. And she says, I'm blind. And immediately, his anger, his negative feelings, he felt really ashamed. And he understood how rude he was, and he wanted to make up for whatever he did. And he wanted to say, I'm sorry in a special way. So he asked her, would you be able to accompany me to my house? I live very close to here, and I really would like to apologize, and I would like to show you a song that I am composing. And I would like to describe to you the beauty of the moonlight. Even if you couldn't see it, I would like to describe. And she said, sir, I was born blind. I have no idea of what you're talking about. And he said, please give me a chance. And she said, okay. So at that moment, they walked to his house that was very close by. And he started playing this beautiful song that we all know. And he sat this lady by the window of his apartment, and he could see the moonlight. He could see how bright it was in that dark night that he always imagined that was his life. He was always involved in darkness. His thoughts were so negative. He was always angry with anything. And that woman made him to see things that he couldn't understand. He thought his life was terrible. But now, seeing the beauty of the moon, he started imagining she never ever even saw it for 1 minute. And he started playing. And he started describing to her, the moonlight for him is almost like the sun, warm, touching your body when everything is cold, when you feel so upset. And that warm sun is touching you, and you're feeling something special that you cannot understand and you cannot describe, but it's something that's touching you. And this woman, she still couldn't understand, but she started imagining, because she could feel the warmth of the sun, And she also enjoyed when it was dark and she could feel the sun touching her. And she was able to start imagining what was the moonlight. She could not see, but he was crying while he was describing it. And he could not understand why she was crying yet, but he could have a feeling that his words were touching her. And then he started completing and saying that when he sees the moonlight, he feels detached from all these negative feelings that surround him during the day. And at that moment, she understood what was it. She understood the beauty of his description. And he understood how beautiful it is when we are able to see beauty in other people, in people that we never know. And sometimes people that we think they did something against us. They hurt us somehow. I'm not just talking about this situation, but I'm talking in general. Sometimes we feel some negative feeling against someone that maybe we never even interact with that person. But we don't know. We have to understand that every single human being has a little seed of love inside of them. But sometimes we could not see it yet, or it have not flourished yet. Like him, she was able to make this beautiful feeling to flourish from our dear friend Beethoven, who later on, we all know, he became deaf. So, now without the beautiful song, let's try to continue to understand what is attachment. So, this is the psychological theory, one of the many that I took. And it says, attachment is deep enduring emotional bond that connects one person to another. And I added to an object, but we will see that we can add many other items across time and space. So this is really the need of unilateral possession, mine or mine. So why we have this feeling? We have this thing, this has to be mine, with so many things. We will see later on a passage of Gandhi when he's visiting India, visiting England, pleading for the freedom of his country. And he's received by the king of the time. And while he's visiting the gardens, because they brought him to see so many things, the king is showing him the beautiful birds they have, like these very different birds, huge aquilas. And then suddenly he sees Gandhi is really mesmerized, and he says, you can pick up anyone, and I will give you as a gift. And then immediately Gandhi said, no, thank you. This bird deserves to be free, not in a jail here or in a cage in my country, but he deserves to be free. And of course, I can just imagine the king's surprise, and I can imagine everyone else, because they could not connect with the thought of Gandhi, of freedom, really, not just for the bird, but for his country, for his people, for everyone. But imagine if you were in this position, you probably would say, wow, I got a bird from the king. Ooh. It's hard for us to connect with some so simple things. When we listen to stories, we're like, wow, yeah, this is beautiful. Wow, so nice. But if you were there in that position at that moment, would you be able to do that?
Who knows?
Maybe. We are all different human beings and we are in different processes of evolution. So maybe yes. But most of us still on Earth are not going to be able to do this. I'm going to start thinking, wow, this is such an exotical animal, would be great in my garden. But that's not what he was thinking. So this is the simple kinds of attachments that we have. There are so many different types. This is just an idea. We get attached to people. And when the attachment is too much, it goes even beyond jealousy. And we know so many times when we see in the news, we hear in the news, people that were trying to divorce, a man or a woman, usually a woman, and then a man tells her, if you leave me, I will kill you, and I will kill myself. So this is really a sick attachment. This is something that we have to learn. If someone is not happy with you, let it go. You know that beautiful song, let it go, let it go, da 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 da. And let it go, really. I always say, this one is gone, another one is coming. Many others are coming, hopefully. And it's always better to be alone than in a bad company. Why do you want to be with someone that really doesn't care about you? Please let it go. And you will understand when you really love someone, the best thing is to let it go. Because if there is love there, it will come back somehow. Material things, these are the most common things. Most common things, people are attached to material things. And Divaldo Franco gives many lectures that he talks about it. Sometimes he even said the story of a museum, of a painting in a museum, that everybody that was a little bit more sensitive and went to this museum and admired the beautiful painting got sick, start feeling headaches. And it's a long story, but in the reality is that the owner of that painting was so attached to the painting that she was right there in the museum with the painting. And in this sick relationship, not with the painting itself, but what connected her to the painting was a man that she loved and abandoned her. And that painting for her was symbolizing this relationship. So this is just one example of thousands of others, even a little bit more simple. People are attached to furniture. An example of myself, visiting a friend in New York. We went to a store that he was working. It's a used furniture store. And when I went through the store, it's everything, it's clothes, it's everything. So I'm going through it, and when I arrived at the furniture area, I start feeling very sick with a headache, and I couldn't understand why, and suddenly I start listening. Get out of my furniture, don't touch it. And when I was able to connect, then I saw a lady that was screaming to a man that was sitting in a couch reading some kind of newspaper, probably waiting for his wife to decide to go home. So this is what happens to us. When we get attached to something, we don't understand how to disconnect. And we go to the spiritual realm in the same way. So we have to learn here. So when we go to the spiritual realm, we are in a better situation. We understand that everything here passes. Everything is temporary. We don't become even like this. We don't even need to talk about the stinginess, but attachment in a deeper way. So situations, we get connected to a happy situation, and that happy situation passed. Imagine the happy wedding, and this passed, and now is in a brutal divorce. And you only think about the horrible things this person did or is doing to your life. And you forget of the beautiful things, or you get connected when it was just beautiful and now it's horrible, and you develop melancholy, the sadness that can make you go into depression. We have to understand that everything passes, and we have to go through these moments of sadness. And that's why we are here, to understand that the good moments will come, but as Chico Xavier says, they will also pass. And the bad moments will come, but they will also pass. But the turbulence in between, that's what we have to learn, how to deal with it. Places. Yes, people get attached to places. I like to give the example of my mom, because she was not born in Rio, but she lived her whole life in Rio, absolutely loves Rio. Yes, nowadays it's a little bit more difficult to love Rio because it's so violent, but it's still so beautiful. But when we moved out of Brazil, me and my sister, and they got retired, my father, who is from a little tiny town in the middle of the country called Piranhas, told her, we have to move there. And she was like, what? Farmland? Never! I'm a carioca girl. I can't. Anyway, she had to move. So they moved. So can you imagine how my mom was every time I spoke to her? I miss Rio. This is really a horrible place. There is not even a movie theater. Everything was horrible. And then I'm trying to make her to see positive sides. And I even said, Mom, when was the last time you went to the movies? And she was like, ooh, I don't remember. I said, so why you miss so much the movie theater? And she's like, well, because in Rio, if I wanted, I could. Here, I can't. And then, but there will be other things. Anyway, they are there for 7 years now, and now she loves piranhas. Maybe not as much as she loved Rio, but she was able to understand everywhere there is a beauty. So there is a very peaceful place. You know all your neighbors. You don't have like movie theaters to go, but every weekend there is a party of someone's house, someone's farm, and it's a much more relaxed lifestyle, especially for them. They are retired. So when we are able to see the beauty everywhere, there are good things and there are negative things. It depends on us how we are going to fluctuate in this environment. My God, I forgot that I have much less time today. I talk too much. So, times and depression. So, there are good times and there are bad times, but I just mentioned we have to disconnect to the negative things. So, the law of preservation. So, here Kardec talks a lot about it. So, let's just quickly read. Why has God attached an attraction to the enjoyment of material things? So, in order to excite man to accomplish of his mission and also to try them by temptation. So you accomplish something, but now let it go. Don't get connected to that because if it's not your mission to keep that, let it go. It will continue his life, its life, and you too. So has nature marked out the proper limits of corporeal satisfaction? Yes, limits that coincide with our needs for well-being. So as we see here, let's hope the ladies are buying toys for many, many kids, not just one. We don't need so much to survive. What is to be thought of man who seeks enhanced corporeal enjoyments by inventing artificial excesses? Think of him as poor wretch who is to be pitied rather than envied. So these are just, there is a lot more, and we can explore the Spirit's book. I always say there are answers for most of our thoughts. If the answers are not there, continue studying the codification because you will find the answers. So we continue, mine, my or mine. So it's usually because of insecurity, need of possessions of power. But Jesus taught us the only prayer he taught us. I cannot see the red dot. Our Father. So in this prayer, he taught us a little bit how to share, how to understand equality, that we are all brothers and sisters under one Father, that's God. But we still, more than 2,000 years, we still cannot understand it. And we are still here, my body, my school, my job. And I also said here last week, Tuesday, that I had the problem of my spiritual center. And we have to understand, nothing is ours, nothing. Everything is borrowed. We are using it. It's temporary. Even if you bought it with your own money, when you go to the spiritual realm, you're not going to take your house with you. And when I said about my spiritual center, yes, I co-founded the spiritual center, and I was president of this center for many, many years. But then I had to move here, and I had to learn how to let it go. And it's funny because it's not that I had the feeling the center was going to close if I left it, but I had the feeling I was going to close if I left it. The sick feeling of, oh, I'm not going to be the president anymore. I'm going to disappear. And this is attachment in a negative way. And you have to understand, if anything has a good mission, anything, you will pass and other people will come to take care of it. And if the good mission is there, this spirit center will continue. But if something was not good, yes, it will disappear. But it's not because you left, it's because that mission or finished or it was not that important. So we have to learn how to disconnect of these things. This is it's not a spiritist book. It's a very cute book that this lady helps us to, with 100 tips on how to disconnect of material things. And many tips. And one tip we already know, like people that have a very simple idea. A closet full of clothes. And many times when they were very skinny, young, and they look at a beautiful dress and like, woof, I'm going to lose this 10 pounds and I will be in this dress. No, honey, maybe not. Maybe you should let it go because we get older. It's a little bit difficult. Yes, I know. You get older, your metabolism is not even walking. It's really crawling, slower than a turtle. And disconnect of that. Donate that to a person that will be able to use it. Leave your closet empty. This beautiful energy of emptiness. And then maybe you buy another clothes. Buy a nicer dress that will fit you more comfortable in this time. Here there are many beautiful stories of many very, very special people. Each one of them, we can give a seminary about it. There is a Gandhi story. I like to talk about Chico Xavier because people used to go to him and say, Chico, I'm so sorry. You are so sick. This is so sad. You are such a wonderful person. And he always answered, I'm not sick. I'm great. And the person is like, his eyes like really like falling apart. And he's like, no, this is my body who is sick. But I am totally fine. So this is a deeper understanding. It's a deeper understanding that he needs to go through that. At that time, he needs to go through that. But he is not sick. His soul is not sick. And, all these other people that did amazing things. Mother Teresa also, she said that she was a citizen of the world. Look how beautiful. Her blood, Albanian. Citizenship, Indian. Her faith, Catholic. Her calling, the world. And her heart to Jesus. Doesn't matter where the people were. She wanted to go to the poor and to the sick. That was her calling. Never asked what's your religion, what's your race. And, in India, the castes are very tough. They are the untouchable. Nobody can touch the untouchable or they get a disease. And she never thought about that. And she was helping everyone, always. So this is like, they are real proofs of detachment. And then we go to the tough law of destruction. Very difficult for us to understand because destruction for us is a disgrace, really. But look what the spirits answer. Is destruction a law of nature? For what you call destruction is only transformation, the aim of which is renewing and improving of living beings. So this is beautiful. It's still very hard for us to see transformation because we see how the place is, how many people die, what will be the suffering to construct of all of this. But that's because our understanding is still very limited. Imagine the understanding of the enlightened spirits, and now imagine the understanding of God. And then Kardec continues, what is the aim of God in visiting mankind with destruction calamities? To make man advance more quickly. So many times if this hadn't happened, man, especially living in that location, wouldn't advance. And then you are asking, but advancing which way? We don't know. We don't know what is the aim of God. But we know the necessity of this to happen. And we also understand nothing happens by a chance. So everyone that was there, even if on vacation, and was affected, is because they had to go through something. And another important thing that when we see this is that calamities like this, they touch the heart of people. So people that sometimes they never thought about helping, they see that and it's so tough that it touches their heart and they want to do something. So I volunteer in the Bahamian church in Coconut Grove. Some friends gave me donations. I brought there just to deliver. When I arrived, the amount of donations was overwhelming. And they had very few volunteers organizing it. So I felt so touched that I decided to stay, and I stayed until nighttime. And it was beautiful to see cars and cars and cars coming and people giving so much, so much. So this is also beautiful because maybe like Beethoven that was closed to see other things. When something like this happens, it's so touching that the person comes out of their shell and they flower. So this is something that we also should think about. So in what way can Spiritism contribute to progress? By destroying materialism. So when materialism is destroyed in every single sense, not only in the sense of physical things that we can touch, but in the sense of destroying our differences, difference of religion, difference of political views, difference of races, all of this. When we really fully understand we are all brothers and sisters, and our differences have to be respected. Not like it's respected nowadays, because nowadays a lot of people don't even respect. But the ones who respect is like, he is this, but he's a nice person. But you still have that inside of you. We are talking a future when this is going to be really different. Like Haroldo Dutra in Brazil, he created a movement, it's very beautiful, with a Protestant pastor and a Catholic nun. And they all talk about religion, but they respect each other. So they are very careful in talking too deeply in subjects they diverge. But it's beautiful. They can really convert in what connects them, the faith. And they bring beautiful messages to everyone. So this is one of our stories. And this is about a Tibetan monk who is really disconnected from anything negative. And the story says that there was this lady that used to listen to his lectures, and she fell in love with him, the man, not the message, but the man. She declared herself to him, and he said, "My sister, my mission here is really to meditate, to evolve, to connect with God. All these earthly things, this is not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to help you with." And she gets really angry and sick about it, but she can't forget him. She goes on, she meets another man, and she ends up getting pregnant of this man. The man goes away, and she's still with that feeling with the monk. She tells her family that the monk is the father. Imagine, it's a little city. The family makes a scandal. The whole city is against the monk. It's a miracle that they didn't kill him. The time passes. They come with the baby and they say, "Take, that's your son." The monk, again, didn't say anything. Didn't complain, didn't protest, didn't say it's a lie. Just grabbed the child and said, "Yes, I will love the child." He changed his lifestyle of meditation because now he's a little bit more busy. And then time passes. The father, real father, comes back, goes directly to the woman who doesn't say anything, and then he goes to her family and says, "I am the father. Where is my son?" The family is like, "What?" The family goes straight to the monk, and they tell him, "Give the child. It's not your son." And the monk, calmly, as he was always, he takes the child and he gives. The same way he received, he gave back. So this is an amazing example of detachment. Can you imagine if it were you who were wrongly accused of something like this? wouldn't you protest? I would go totally crazy. And then a monk with a baby, but the only thing he did was to love. Let me love. If God gave me this child at this moment, it's because I need it. So let me love the child. So there is a lot to learn with him. And then the story of Socrates, very well known. You probably all heard of it. I will summarize it very quickly. The Oracle of Delphi tells them Socrates is the most intelligent man in Greece. Socrates, super intelligent, really, did not agree. He said, no, I'm not the most intelligent man, but I will find who is this super intelligent man. So he goes in his city, interviewing a lot of people, interviewing the most famous people. And they all wanted to be interviewed by Socrates because they all thought, he's finding the most intelligent man. Let me go. But, if you understand a little bit of the dialectic of Socrates, it's never easy. He will talk to you and he will ask you questions and you answer another question. At the end, you are so confused that you kind of agree with him. And it was all done publicly. So they were public speakers. They were philosophers. Socrates was a philosopher. So in the end, he goes to the public and tells them, one thing only I know, and that's I know nothing. But they know less than me. So you can imagine all those famous people, their pride was hurt. And now they are angry at Socrates. So they all get together and they really start accusing him of corrupting the youth and impiety to state, meaning he was telling things against the laws. And then he got guilty, a sentence to be guilt. And because he was a philosopher in that time in Greece, you can choose your own sentence. And Socrates was like, let me choose something very silly just to make them even more angry. And that's his choice. Donation of a rooster to the temple by Plato, his student. This really made them super angry because this was like a joke. That's your sentence? This is a joke. So they got together, 500 of this time, and they finally were able to accuse him of death in 6 months, drinking cicuta or hemlock. And then he had the right of answer to the 500 judges. And he says, noble Athenians, I'm very sorry for you. Socrates will soon be with the gods, the daimons, but you will stay here suffering with the other mortals. However, I have even worse news. You will be without the thoughts of Socrates. And there he goes. And then he goes home and he meets his wife. And his wife was very similar to him. She was the one who actually started the dialectic conversation. Because one time they asked him, why did you marry her? And he said, because she was the only woman that I met that couldn't listen. She had to ask 10 questions. And I said, that's the one. So when he goes and he talks to Shantip, she says, death? Such an unjust sentence. And he tells her, of course, woman. Would you like it to be just? So it would be even worse. And then, we all know the guards were paid and he was all set to run free. And then he tells his disciples and his wife, I can't go. Why am I going to go? I'm going to be free from this, but I will be always Socrates. I will be always myself. And wherever I go, I will tell the truth. And we know that many times the truth hurts. So he decided to drink cicuta and transcend to the spiritual realm. And here we have a story of our dear Raul Teixeira. He's a professor. And when he started his career, he was extremely angry with the very low salaries. So he put all the professors together. Let's make a strike. Let's complain about our salaries. We are guys of Raul Teixeira knows how he is powerful, how he really makes people to follow him. So that was the exactly same thing in that time. But then someone arrived that was his spiritual guide, Camilo. And Camilo arrived in a very strong way. And Camilo asked him, "Why do you talk so much?" He got really surprised and he got silenced. And then Camilo briefly told him that his purpose would be very different in talking. In that time, he was already a spiritist, but not as well known as he got later on. And then Camilo also taught him that in a past life, he did not work, he got a lot of money, and he wasted. So in this lifetime, God was so good that was going to give him a little tiny wage. And how we even joke that Camilo said, "And if I was God, neither that wage you would get, so don't complain." And then he stopped with the ideas of strike, and here is him with our dear friend Divaldo Franco, also a medium. And these are the consequences of our actions. So when we were hurt by someone, we usually cannot forgive. We have that negative feeling that's always hurting us. We can never forgive whatever was the situation. When we are the ones who hurt others, we hurted someone. So we keep rationalizing in the error. Oh, but I only did this because she said that. I only did this because he did that. So we keep rationalizing why we committed that error without understanding really that was a mistake, that we should actually go back and say, "I'm so sorry. Let's start over." Or for not helping. When someone comes and asks help for you and you're like, no, I can't. I'm really busy right now. And later on you feel remorse. There is a quick story here of a person that I know in Switzerland that one night she was in a party and someone calls her and she answers the phone and the person said, "Oh, can I talk to you really quickly?" And she said, no, I'm so sorry. I am in the middle of a party right now. I cannot talk to you. And she says, "Oh, please, it's really important. I cannot talk to anyone from the Spirit Center. That's why I want to talk to you." And she said, "I'm sorry, my dear. Today I can't. It was any other day, but today I'm in a party. Call me tomorrow, and then we talk." And then she hung up the phone. She continued through the party. But she said that through the party, she could not forget this person. So she actually did not enjoy the party because she was always thinking about her, but she did not call her back. The party finished. The next day, someone calls her and tells that lady committed suicide that night. So she describes how difficult it was for her to live with that. Can you imagine? Someone took their life and maybe, we don't know, maybe you could have said something to change that negative thoughts into something else, but you couldn't. So this feeling of remorse is immense, and of course it has to be worked. She said that she had to go to psychology, and she had to do lots of spiritual treatments, meditation, lots of things, and prayers for this lady. So we have to think about these things. I know that it might be very easy to say right now, but maybe it's happening to us in different ways. Let's think about it. And most important, we have to be free of this guilt feeling, because the guilt feeling is what brings us down and makes us so sick. We feel stuck without hope or strength to continue. And there are so many ways we can change it. We are in the Spirit Center. It's a blessing. So many millions, billions of people around the world, they do not even have faith. They do not have one person that they believe can help them. We have this blessing of having this home here that you can come, you can listen to lectures, you can come join the study groups, you can do fraternal counseling, you can put your name for prayers or the name of the people. So these are extra tools we have, and many others they don't. So this is already a blessing. But we really need to practice living with less. We don't need so much, materially speaking, and also all the negative feelings that we were talking through. We can get rid of them, or at least start practicing having less and less and less negative feelings. We have to focus on what really matters. Understand that we all commit mistakes. There is no angel here or is it mission. Because we are all here learning. And then you say, oh, but that person has more mistakes than me. Yes, maybe. But as I said in the beginning, the beautiful thing is that we are different. So whatever one person is doing wrong, maybe you already overcome that situation. But maybe that person has overcome other things that you are still here. So this is the beauty. We are all different and we can help each other. The problem is that we have a tendency of only focusing on what is wrong with that person. Whereas we should focus in what is positive, what is beautiful, that maybe is hiding there, as we saw in the first story. So do not point fingers. We always do that. Ah, he's doing this. Ah, he's doing that. Are you doing that? Really? If you're really doing that, you should learn with the superior spirits, because they have done everything and they never point fingers to us. They actually help us to be able to change. So I always said, it's only solitary who is not solidary. If you feel lonely, if you feel abandoned, if nobody understands you, try to do something for another person. Join a cause. Do something. There are so many beautiful things around the world that you can connect and feel a little bit fulfilled. And as I said in the beginning, everything is temporary, and let's focus on love. Love is what will change the world. Real love. Love as our brothers and sisters. Love our differences. Respect each other. And try to transcend. And this is the end of the lecture. This is a story of this very, very amazing man who, when he was 28 years old, he was a British broker. No, not rich, not famous, just a simple man. He went to Czechoslovakia in the time, and he was astonished with the pain and the suffering the Jews were put into. And he was shocked. And at 28 years old, he knew he had to do something. He knew he had to do something. He returned to his country, United Kingdom, and he started writing letters to every single president of nations that were bigger nations, open-minded nations, including the United States. But unfortunately, all the letters returned to him, saying, unfortunately, we cannot receive minors disaccompanied by adults, because his idea was to help at least children, to take the children out of Czechoslovakia in that time. And the only country who actually accepted and said, yes, we can receive them, was his own country, was United Kingdom. So here you will see a little bit of his story. There are many, many videos you can see online. And one thing he says, the only thing he felt really bad through all this, is that in the last day, he had one train that was already with 250 kids inside the train. And when the train is preparing for departure, Hitler invaded. And the train, instead of going to the United Kingdom, went to the chambers. And they were all killed. So let's learn with his lesson of detachment.
There are some stories which were not only an audience to, but may become their participants. Nikki's story came out by accident after this scrapbook surfaced after gathering dust for decades. Once it did, though, it set about a whole chain of incredible events.
That's me before I left for England. But until 1988, I had no idea who had rescued me from all but certain death. It was this old man who had saved my life and that of hundreds of others in the Second World War. Yet for 50 years we knew nothing about him.
4 children. This is his scrapbook. There are all kinds of fascinating pictures in it. As you can see, this is a picture of Nicholas Winton himself with one of the children he rescued. If you look at the very back of this scrapbook, fascinating things in it, all the letters. But back here is the list of all the children. This is Vera Dearmont, now Vera Gissing. We did find her name on his list. Vera Gissing is with us here tonight. Hello, Vera. And I should tell you that you are actually sitting next to Nicholas Winton.
I wore this around my neck, and this is the actual pass that we were given to come to England. And I'm another of the children that you saved.
Can I ask, is there anyone in our audience tonight who owes their life to Nicholas Winton? If so, could you stand up, please?
Everybody has to learn to live with everybody else, regardless of creed or religion.
I never thought what I did 70 years ago was going to have such a big impact as apparently it has. And if it has now got a story which helps people to live for the future, well, that will be an added bonus.
So my friends, as you see, Sir Nicholas lived until 106 years old, and he was perfectly fine giving interviews, and his mind was still so bright. And this is for us to understand he was so detached from all these amazing things he did. He actually hid it from anyone. He took his scrapbook and he put in the Saturn, so nobody would ever know, even his own wife. So this is amazing. This is amazing. This is an amazing example for all of us to hear, to feel, and to try to be a little bit more detached from negative feelings, attached to love, and start spreading this beautiful light. So we have a few minutes. If you have any questions, any comments, and if I know how to answer.